Good evening, all. I am going to present to you about Jackson Pollock since he's an artist that I've always wanted to learn more about. And so here it is. So this is the Life and Art of Jackson Pollock by Scott Zank. Here is a picture of him. And here is one of his more famous art pieces created in 1948 called Number 5. He was born in Cody, Wyoming in 1912, the youngest of five sons. His parents, Stella May and Leroy Pollock, were originally from Iowa. His father was adopted by the Pollock family and took his name as his own. His father's last name was originally Cody, and since that life and times were had happened, he had gotten adopted out because families were very different back then. They would just get adopted and they would take last names, and strange things would happen. Uh, His mother moved to San Diego when Jackson was only 10 months old, which doesn't really go into a whole lot of what else happened to his other members of his family. What happened to his father or the other four members. It speaks briefly about what happened to his older brother Charles. Um, okay, so he moved to San Diego when he was 10 months old and lived in Echo Park, where he enrolled in the Los Angeles Manual Arts High School, from which he was expelled. He seemed to have a habit of getting expelled from high schools. He went to another one in 1928, and he was expelled to that first. So, in 1928, he also worked. He would get odd jobs. Okay, so in the 1930s, he followed his older brother Charles, moved to New York City to study under Thomas Hart Benton at the Arts Student League. During this time, he had several different jobs. I know he worked as a janitor, and of course, just to make a buy and learn how to do art. He started his famous drip period in 1947. Before he did that, he was married to a woman named another artist named Lenore Lee Krasner in 1945. But unfortunately, they started to grow apart by the year of his death. He was not a very old person when he died. He was 44 years old, and he died as a result of an alcohol-related car accident. There was during this time when he died, he was actually seeing another woman, and he died in an Oldsmobile convertible, and Edith Metzger was also killed in the accident. But his another woman that was with him was his mistress, Ruth Kligman. She actually survived, so I can't imagine his wife was too happy about that. His wife was in Paris at the time when he died, and she actually flew back to help take care of his estate and take care of everything that was going on. They actually were buried together. Uh, I could show you a picture of where they're buried. It's here. That is Jackson Pollock's grave right there. The large rock, and there's a smaller rock in front. That is Lee Krasner. So the art movements during the 50s, during the time where he was creating a lot of his art, uh, they were major influences on the 1950s art. He was actually a main proponent of the abstract expressionist movement, but there were other movements going on at the same time that were really influenced by this. Avant-garde, modernism, surrealism, and abstract painting. Salvador Dali was alive and painting during this time, so surrealism was definitely becoming a large part of their lives. Comics and propaganda, which came from the wartime periods, where they were heavily influenced by art styles and came into a time of their own during this period. Anti-communism, the Red Scare, McCarthyism, a lot of those things were being influenced by comics and propaganda posters that were being done by that. So, as I said before, Jackson Pollock was known as being part of the abstract expressionist movement during this time. Jackson Pollock worked on and perfected his own style during this time called the drip period. He did many, many different murals and paintings during this. He said that there are over 100 of those pictures done. He actually used oil paints for a lot of his murals, but then he mixed in household paints. Some people would say that they would do them all in one day in a spur of creationism, but it doesn't actually work out that way because they've actually gone back and done CGI models of his work, and since it's done with oil paints and the oils don't mix together because they take a long time to dry, they're created over a long period of time. He used all sorts of paint applicators, sticks, turkey basters, hardened brushes. So, art theories. Jackson Pollock had a short but vivid life as an artist. His theories weren't put down on paper because he didn't speak to it because he had such a sudden death. You can feel his creations that he needed to get something out of his on canvas, and since he was dealing with alcoholism, I'm sure he had internal demons that we all deal with. Some people have even suggested that he wrote his name in his art and in his drippings to do that. Certain artists and art critics have said that they play it off as easy, or some guy who carelessly hurls paint at a canvas. But this is normal of treating art. People can look at it and say, yeah, anybody can do that, but no one does until it's created. So here's actually a couple pictures of Jackson Pollock at work, dropping his paint, dripping his paint on the brush while Lee looks on. And I'll let you experience these next few pieces while watching the video. Alright, if you've gotten this far, thank you for watching, and these are the sources that I cited during the article. Feel free to check them out. Have a good one.